Sakurai made my childhood dreams come true recently, as it has been revealed that a brand new Kirby Air Ride is being made for the Nintendo Switch 2. For a bit of me lore, Kirby Air Ride is among the first games I can remember playing in my youngest of years, and remained as my childhood favorite for many, many more years, and even to this day remains as one of my personal favorite games of all time. So as you can imagine, as this completely Smash Bros looking trailer proceeded to take a U-turn, and not be an expansion to Smash Ultimate's World of Light mode, but rather be the one game I have been begging for my whole life long, Sakurai, I officially forgive you for that Smash 4 Rosalina trailer tease. I'm so excited for this, I decided my next video needs to be about Kirby Air Ride. But I won't simply just be 100%ing the game, no. For those unaware, RetroAchievements is a website that provides community-curated achievement sets for old games that never had them before. Most notably, Nintendo games. I want to prove to myself I have truly mastered this game after all these years, so I will be attempting to earn all of the game's retro achievements as well, starting with the Air Ride mode. Right off the bat, gosh, this menu is so good and nostalgic. Everything going on here is so pleasing to the eyes and ears.
Here goes.
Air Ride uses only the left stick and the A button. The Air Ride machine Kirby is riding floats just above the surface of the ground, but if you press A, the machine will slide. This is called a boost. Huh? Was that? I guess you're right. As nostalgic as this tutorial is, we have a lot of work to do, so let's get started. It was time to decide what I should do first, and whoopsie, I already had a small bit of save data here. Not a problem though, as I have just now learned that you can actually reset your checklist data, even just for individual modes. That's kinda cool, I never knew you could do that, as I never went near this button as a kid. Surely I can handle a max level CPU, right? Yeah, the CPU's straight up cheat. If they're max level and you're not using some kind of cheese strat or like a really good winning Air Ride machine matchup, they are literally just going to move faster than you the entire time. Kind of a cheap difficulty setting, not gonna lie, but I did manage to get something out of this first race. Did you catch that?
See? You see? Oh, you don't see it? Right there! Wait! Right there!
My lap time's last 2 digits were the same. For the next race, I brought them back to default level. Yeah, this is way more fair. Get used to hearing that amazing sound, by the way. It's gonna be playing a lot, and it never ever gets old. Finishing the race also earned me my first retro achievement of the run for winning any race on Fantasy Meadows. I also finished the 3 laps in under 1 minute and 20 seconds, and crossed the finish line with the needle ability active. Now, I may be going after all the retro achievements, but no matter what, this still includes the game's checklist challenges. So the main bulk of this video is still going to be these checklist blocks. As you complete specific objectives, you reveal the tasks around the ones you clear, slowly clearing the board. I decided to race on Sky Sands next, aiming to open the trapdoor exactly 3 times before winning the race. I also won the race while gliding through the air, which unlocked Wing Star, and earned the retro achievement for winning on Sky Sands. Winged Star was always a favorite of mine, cause gliding is one of my favorite aspects of this game, which sets it apart from other racing games. Anyways, racing on Magma Flows next, I needed to use all 3 of the volcano rails before the end of the race, and from sheer coincidence, I happened to get hit by one of the flaming dragons that constantly jump from the lava near the end of the track. Which is actually a good thing, as getting hit by that thing is its own checklist challenge. On the third lap, I used the last grind rail and came out of this with a ton of new unlocks. Wagon Star for reaching the finish line 3 times outside of free run mode, and Turbo Star for riding all the rails. And of course, the Retro Achievement for winning a race on magma flows. This mission gave me a purple block that you can use to instantly complete a mission on the checklist without actually having to do it, which is normally really nice. But if you don't do all the challenges, can you really call yourself a master? Retro Achievements thinks not, so I'm not allowed to use any of these. The next thing I decided to do was attempting to finish a free run lap on Beanstalk Park with Winged Star in under 58 seconds. On the first lap, I was a little bit too slow, but with the momentum given to you from going into lap 2 instead of starting over, that was enough to make a difference. I also earned a few easier time challenges at the same time for doing this. Then I tried to do the challenge for winning on Machine Passage without touching any walls, but I was struggling on this. And after a couple attempts, decided to come back to this one later after unlocking more machines to pick from. Instead, I went to Celestial Valley, one of my favorite courses in the game. The music here is so good, and the track is extremely unique and visually memorable. Not that that doesn't apply to literally every track in the game. As a matter of fact, I was having so much fun, I realized I already missed the challenge I was aiming for, which was to use the copy ability roulette that can be reached on this track with a good glider. This was easy cheesy for Kirby. Next I went back to Magma Flows to use every boost panel on the course, including this very sneaky one that I barely caught a glimpse of. I finished the race, and luckily I didn't miss any. I tried to do this challenge for entering quicksand 3 times, and I assumed it was referring to this shortcut here, but it didn't seem to work. I did get the achievement for winning on Sky Sands while its alternative music was playing though, as well as a checklist block for finishing with fire. Deciding to come back to the quicksand thing later as well, I went after a time trial challenge with Wagon Star. By making use of the speed increases you get from defeating enemy groups with copy abilities such as Sword, I was zooming. And it was here that I discovered a valuable bit of knowledge regarding wheel-based machines in this game. They seem to get a much bigger boost in momentum when defeating enemies compared to most machines. Like, look at this footage. I go crazy fast every time I hit an enemy with the wheel. I completed the time trial from there without a hitch, earning a few more checklist blocks. I decided to keep up the momentum by taking Turbo Star for a time trial in Frozen Hillside. During the run, I tried to save time by getting Sword to cut through the ice, but I accidentally swallowed 2 at once, giving me the copy ability roulette, which actually earned me a Retro Achievement. And despite feeling like I could have gone even faster, I still made the goal time, which unlocked Formula Star. Coincidentally, there happens to be a free run challenge for Formula Star on this same course. I'm not gonna lie, I was off to a horrific start. Like, seriously, what is this? I decided to play it out anyways though, since it was probably going to be a better idea to go for the goal time on a lap 2 with this machine anyways, since it takes a while for it to get going. This part near the end is also really bad for Formula Star, but I learned that it's better for machines like Formula Star to be charging boost here. Cause for some reason I maintain my speed better through the full curve if I'm sliding. Miraculously, I actually did make it on that first lap even with all the mistakes, earning me more checklists, as well as a Retro Achievement for reaching 20 out of the 120 checklist blocks, having been broken. Next I went after a challenge for swallowing 20 enemies and winning that same race on Beanstalk Park. I had no idea until now that if you touch another player while you have the sleep ability, your sleep is contagious, I guess, and they fall asleep too, which is pretty funny. My whole life I thought that ability was literally just negative. Also, as I was gulping down as many enemies as I could find, I randomly unlocked an achievement for unlocking Shadow Star. I was getting a lot of po for my yo with this race, that's for sure. That is either the dumbest thing I've ever said in a video, or a stroke of genius. You decide. Hey, yo, this is so rude. I guess if you don't give Kirby a copy ability, you're garbage. For the sake of everyone's self-esteem, if you ever meet Kirby in real life, you better be carrying some kind of sword or hand mirror, a lit candle, or some kind of element on you. But wait a minute, when Kirby inhales his friends in future games, he gets no abilities. Are they garbage? Anyways, I decided to race on Checker Knights next, and, What did I even do? Well, I guess I did something that unlocked Wheelie Bike. What I was mainly trying to do here was not just winning a race on Checker Knights, but ensuring that I go into the final lap from 4th place and make a comeback. There was a slight problem though.
Are you kidding me?
One of the CPUs was so garbage at the video game that they got stuck riding against the wall. Like, for real, what is this guy doing? How am I supposed to win from last if the 3rd place Kirby is miles behind? This absolute blueberry was unbelievable. The other Kirbys were halfway through the course by the time this guy crossed into lap 3. But now, I don't have to hold back.
You can make it, Tom. But we have to stay focused on maintaining control when you hydroplane.
Let's do it.
Easy. Going back to attempt the quicksand thing again, the only idea I had left was that it was simply referring to any of the sand piles here in general. So I ensured that I only went over one of them per lap, and surely enough that did it. Next on the checklist chopping block was simply a quick free run lap on Fantasy Meadows with Wagon Star, then completing a lap in a race on the same track without dropping below 20 miles per hour. I also used Wagon Star for this. Next, I went to Machine Passage to swallow 3 Plasma Wisps and win. I also earned something for defeating more enemies. Then, after a couple more attempts, I finally managed to win this course without hitting walls using the wheelie scooter. Also, by the way,
what in heck's armpit is that?
These dudes be looking like the aliens from Chicken Little if they were melted into icky paint like goop. Anyways, this next one I struggled for a bit with some different machines and eventually got it with Warp Star. Then I did a longer race on Checker Knights so that I could swallow over 20 enemies, and 3 of them were Sword Knights, which unlocked Green Kirby. I completed a couple free run laps on Magma Flows, then finished a time trial in Celestial Valley to unlock Bulk Star. Bulk Star is needed for a free run lap time on Sky Sands, so I chose to do that next. It actually unlocked Brown Kirby. Then I tried to finish a race with the wing ability active, but I accidentally inputted a quick spin somehow and I fumbled it completely. While trying it again, I unlocked something else random instead. I succeeded in the wing challenge on a 3rd attempt. As I continued clearing out these checklist blocks, I remembered from my childhood that there was a Warp Star specific challenge on Checker Nights that I always struggled with as a kid. So I tried it in free run, and earned some blocks for doing that, but none of them were the challenge I was thinking of. So until I knew what that mission actually was, I decided to go for swallowing 20 enemies in Fantasy Meadows. I actually almost choked this one by not winning the race at the end, but it all worked out.
I believe that's called cutting it close.
Afterwards, I repeated the race, but made sure to swing my sword ability exactly 10 times before crossing the finish line. Next, I finished a quick 2-lap race on Frozen Hillside, then I did the same for Checker Nights, and unlocked Slick Star. I finally came to the conclusion that the Warp Star challenge I remembered struggling with in childhood must have been for time trial mode specifically, so I went for it. Here's how it went. First try. Next, I did a time trial for Magma Flows using Shadow Star, and boy, it was a slaughter. I think I just snapped away half the Brontobird population. This was also my 60th checklist block, so I earned another Retro Achievement for the milestone. Oh yeah, this also unlocked the final realm, the Cosmic Realm, Nebula Belt. I went back for a free run lap on Slick Star and did it first try. Then I did 3 laps of Fantasy Meadows in under 1 minute and 3 seconds. Don't ask why I used Formula Star for that, I don't really know, to be honest. I tried to use Nebula Belt to cross the finish line with Sleep, but I got Needle from the roulette. Unfortunately. At least I got the achievement for winning the race. The next goal I managed to complete was for finishing 2 laps quickly enough at Beanstalk Park, which unlocked Purple Kirby. Next, I did a time trial in Machine Passage and a race on Magma Flows, which gave me an achievement because I won while the secret retro music track was playing for this course. By the way, these are some hot wheels. Sorry, had to say it. One swift time trial later, I proceeded to commit repeated acts of fantasy violence against the other Kirbys. I somehow hadn't done a 2-lap race on Sky Sands yet, so I did that. And finally unlocked Swerve Star. This is really important, as Swerve Star basically trivializes most of the non-machine specific time challenges. This thing may as well be considered a racing drone, not just because it looks the part, but it absolutely cheats with its acceleration stat, and consistently high top speed. Completing this also unlocked Rocket Star. Rocket Star will also be extremely important. It's a surprise tool that can help us later. A quick 19-second lap of Fantasy Meadows unlocks another block, and Swerve Star also helped me finish a 2-lap challenge I was struggling with in Magma Falls earlier. Even the curvy corners at the end of Frozen Hillside are comical in the face of Swerve Star. It's seriously so overpowered that I kinda hope it's balanced out a little better in the new game. Speaking of, as I'm at this point in the video's development recording the script, there is a Kirby Air Ride Direct that has just jump-scared, been announced out of nowhere, and it's happening tomorrow, and I really need to finish this video. But hopefully in that Direct, maybe I'll get a little bit of closure of seeing whether or not Swerve Star is still going to be just as overpowered. Somehow, I hadn't broken all the coral in Sky Sands yet. With that completed, I earned the Retro Achievement for completing 80 of the checklist blocks. Wait a minute. Coral? In a desert? Were the wastes where life began in Forgotten Land just a big Kirby Air Ride reference the whole time? Regardless, I continued to work through the remaining check blocks, completing all the different time challenges. I tried to cross the finish line with sleep like 10 times on Nebula Belt, and it just wasn't working. I was getting a bit frustrated by this, until it hit me. Somewhere in my subconscious was a vague memory that Noddy can spawn in Fantasy Meadows. So I decided to check it out. It didn't take long for me to find that memory to be true. But can they spawn somewhere just before the finish line? I came really close after a couple laps, but not close enough. But on the very next try, I was glad to be done with that one. This next time trial for Beanstalk Park using Rocket Star in under 3 minutes was actually really hard. It took me 3 tries to get a fast enough time on the rocket. On the bright side, I beat enough enemies to unlock King DDD. 2 challenges I hadn't done yet were for splitting 20 ice platforms and swallowing 3 chili enemies in a race, so I decided to do a full 25-lap race of Frozen Hillside. Why all the laps? It's because I had no idea what it meant by ice platforms on this track. Is it these 3 at the start that split up and down if you move across them? Is it these thin sheets of ice that break when you boost on them? Almost everything on this course is breakable ice. So I wasn't taking any chances. About 10 minutes later, and I unlocked Rex Wheelie because the race was so long that I killed enough enemies. I then did a very quick and easy time trial in the meadows. And the next challenge was to get fired out of the cannon in Machine Passage at the same time as 2 other Kirbys. I had a really stupid idea for this, to just make everyone ride Swerve Star at level 1. Surely there's no way it's gonna be that easy, right? Me and the boys were fast approaching the cannon. Oh yeah, I'm a genius. A whole bunch of uneventful time trials later, I reached this time trial for Rex Wheelie. It was a toughie. 2 minutes and 50 seconds is no easy task for one of the most sluggish machines in the game. The first attempt, I got bonked. But do you remember when I noticed how much bigger the speed boost is for wheelie-type machines when you hit enemies in this game? In that moment, I knew what I had to do and gave it a 3rd try. The next 2 time trials left me at 99 blocks checked. One more free run lap in Sky Sands brings us to the next achievement goal of 100 check blocks. Make that 101.
Wait a minute! This
Isn't the end of the world race.
I still have 19 more check blocks and a slew of unique retro achievements to achieve. Here's where I start doing a type of challenge I've been largely ignoring until now, where I have to race a certain total distance on a track under a given time limit. At first glance, this seems like it's basically the same thing as Time Attack, but most of these were easy to cheese with Swerve Star. Like this first one, it was no issue. Somehow I still hadn't done a 3-lap race without riding the Ferris wheel yet in Beanstalk Park, so I cleaned that up post-haste. And while I was doing that... apparently that fraction of a second of me falling from that ledge tipped me over the edge, reaching 30 minutes of total airtime to unlock Meta Knight. I then tried to use Whopper's Meta Knight over here to complete a Celestial Valley time trial, but he wasn't fast enough to complete it. That Rex Wheelie challenge from earlier made me realize how much I've been sleeping on the wheelie bikes this whole time. So I decided to test Rex Wheelie on this track, knowing that there are a lot of easy targets to hit with Plasma here. It seemed to be going really well, but the fact that Rex could only seem to reach the bottom path at the big jump ultimately led to failure by just a few seconds. I made an educated guess that Wheelie Scooter might just be the key here, and just see for yourself.
Holy cannoli! That snail is fast! What? Are you seeing this?
I have a new level of appreciation for Wheelie Scooter. Next, I completed 2 odd challenges for falling off a bridge 3 times, and riding both sides of the bridge railings. This distance challenge actually took me a few attempts to get right, as Wheelie Scooter's low average speed made it difficult to properly make the jump to the middle rail. But eventually, I got it. And even better, I made it to the top entrance somehow. This was able to push me just far enough to finally make it to 6,000 feet. The rest of these distance challenges weren't that bad, since Swerve Star is much more overpowered on most of the other tracks in the game. Finishing the one for Machine Passage actually unlocked several retro achievements. One achievement for unlocking Jetstar, another for unlocking all of the Air Ride machines as Jetstar was the final one I was missing, and a third for winning the race while the bonus music track was playing. Now that I have Jet, I can finally complete the time trial in Celestial Valley that requires it. I was down to the final 5 check blocks. First, another easy distance challenge. Second, another easy distance challenge. Third, I needed to defeat 15 enemies as Tornado Kirby, so I gave myself a safe amount of laps to get it done. I decided to use Wing Star at the same time so that I could get some practicing in for something coming later that I'm not gonna lie had me a little spooked since the start of this playthrough. And then there were 2. Oh boy, these last checklist blocks were a double whammy of tedium on another level. I need to race 300 laps and reach an hour of total gliding time. I could never remember whether the 300 laps needed to be all in one session or not, so I chose to do it in free run. Yep, 300 laps of Fantasy Meadows. However, instead of focusing on 300 laps immediately, I decided to prioritize reaching the hour of glide time first. That way, I could switch to Swerve Star and make the remaining laps a lot quicker. When the checklist popped, I earned an achievement for unlocking the special machine intros as well. I then proceeded to spend the next couple hours of my life speedrunning Fantasy Meadows. Thankfully, speed up functionality exists, which probably saved me a good amount of time. And just in case you were curious, here's what ended up being my best lap time in all of this. "18.4 seconds. After that, I mostly just turned my brain off and mindlessly did the rest in speed up. And with that, I was at long last finished with Air Ride's checklist. After taking a break for a while, I was ready for the final stretch of the first third of this game. I imagine most of the people watching this far into the video were waiting for this. It's time to complete Air Ride's unique retro achievements. Everything I've earned so far has just been stuff that you would normally do to 100% Kirby Air Ride anyways. But these remaining achievements are specialized challenges that will prove to be much tougher to complete. I started with these Air Ride machine matchup achievements that have me race against specific machines with specific rules and conditions, starting with Rocket Star versus a level 9 Bulk Star, while I have a handicap of 5 and no speed help. For clarity's sake, speed help is basically the option to automatically start moving faster the farther you are behind an opponent. This ended up being fairly close, but I crossed the finish line and earned the first miscellaneous achievement. Next was Jetstar with a handicap of 3 against Wingstar. Right off the bat, this one seemed much trickier, as my extremely high handicap allowed the level 9 Wingstar to soar ahead of me. My opponent was already halfway through the track by the time I entered lap 2. I reset in hopes I could get lucky and find some way to keep up, perhaps by drafting. And to my surprise, I wasn't getting left in the dust this time. But this was definitely going to be a fierce back and forth. As I entered lap 2, they started to pull away from me, and I lost my chance to keep up. I didn't give up chase this time, however, and I was rewarded for doing so, as I saw out of the corner of my eye that the Wingstar had fallen into the pit at the end of the track on lap 2. I have no idea how they let that happen, but I wasn't too far behind now. The race was back on. I couldn't afford to make any dumb mistakes here. That was a really crazy race, honestly. This playthrough was starting to make me appreciate all the little nuances of Air Ride mode a lot more. By manipulating the handicaps of the vehicles, you can have some surprisingly fun races. Next was a handicap 3 Wagon Star against a wheelie scooter. Not a whole lot of fancy stuff happened in this race, as I was kinda just able to stay ahead all the way to the end. He literally never passed me, just hovering uncomfortably close behind me the whole time. So I earned the next achievement. Moving on, we have a handicap 5 Rex Wheelie versus Slickstar. I very quickly learned this was going to be obnoxious. Riding a bike on ice makes it hard to keep your balance, and
balance increases traction.
Ergo, I have no traction. Look how much effort it takes just to climb up this little hill. I wasn't sure how I was gonna manage this one, but this was not the way. I quickly established that avoiding icy surfaces whenever possible is basically going to be required here. So with this in mind, I went in for attempt number 3. I tried to draft with Slickstar, but got frozen by the ice ability and it killed my momentum. I wasn't far behind, so I wasn't giving up just yet. But then something kinda silly happened.
How can I do this? How can I be so stupid?
At least I managed to get out of the cave, but getting hit by those 3 glowy spirit orbs was not ideal. Miraculously, I started to catch up to the clumsy blueberry Kirby, and I was back in the race. Heading into lap 3, I had fully caught up. I just needed a miracle to pull ahead at the cave section.
Just what I needed.
Cheesy.
Na 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 boo boo. I won!
The next race had to be between a handicap 5 Swerve Star and Turbo Star. You might be able to tell by the footage, but this one wasn't nearly as challenging. Even handicapped, Swerve Star is broken. Now it was handicap 5 Warp Star versus Shadow Star, a classic battle of light and dark, and a very balanced one at that. This race was all about my general skill on this track, and judging by the outcome, I'd say I've about mastered it by now. Handicap 6 Winged Star against Wagon Star, eh? I would go so far as to say I'm a bit of a Winged Star main at this point, so this one should be a cinch. Wheelie Bike with a handicap of 4 against Rex Wheelie. This was a fierce back and forth for most of the race, until I pulled off this jump in lap 2, even with the high handicap. From that point, this one was smooth sailing. I earned both the challenge achievement as well as the bonus music track achievement for Checker Knights. This one was down to the wire. Handicap 6 Formula Star versus Swerve Star. You've all seen by now how overpowered Swerve Star is, and now I have to challenge it with a handicap? All I could really do here was hug the wall and hope I can keep up with them. Playing against Swerve Star truly feels like racing against Galorum cheating with all of the Accelerchargers, and playing catch-up with a Nitrox Afterburner.
You cannot defeat me, human. I have the Accelerchargers.
Let's see if this Nitrox Afterburner really works. Hang on!
No, I was first!
He is a true accelerator.
That was the final achievement of the specific handicapped machine matchup variety. Now it was time for some specialized time trial retro achievements. Starting with a time of 1 minute and 6 seconds on Fantasy Meadows with Bulk Star. This proved to be a very difficult task. Even making sure to defeat enemies wherever possible and timing recharges as well as I thought I could, I just wasn't making it. Sometimes I was able to attain some incredible speeds though. I just needed it in the right places at the right times, and eventually, I would get this run. The second time trial achievement is going to give me even more practice for the coming danger I mentioned earlier, as it calls for Winged Star on Celestial Valley with a time just under 3 minutes. Trust me, you'll be seeing quite a bit of this track in a little bit, so I'ma just cut to the chase and say this one really wasn't that bad, as I did it first try. Next is a time of 2 minutes 37 seconds with Wheelie Scooter on Sky Sands. Making frequent use of enemy KO speed boosts, this one was no problem as well. Moving on, we have a time of 3 minutes in Frozen Hillside using Slickstar. Thank goodness they didn't make me use Rex Wheelie for this one. The Pepto-Bismobile over here is quite bizarre to get used to, but it's kinda fun at the same time. It's like riding on a bar of soap, which means you're so slippery that there's basically no penalty for spamming boost charge to get through all the twisty turns. I was cutting it kinda close at the end because of whatever the flurgle gurgle is happening here. Now I needed a time of 3 minutes 10 seconds on magma flows with Turbostar. I chose to take the far right rail on each lap as I believe it's the fastest. This strategy, paired with the insane speed attained from double tapping boost panels, was enough to complete this one first try. The next time is 3 minutes 4 seconds with Shadowstar in Beanstalk Park. Shadowstar is very simple to control, leading to this being an equally simple time to beat. It was pretty close, but I did this one first try as well. And I can say the same thing about Wagon Star, so getting a time of 2 minutes 50 seconds in Machine Passage was also simple. Just utilize the same fundamentals of defeating enemies at the right times and you'll be fine. Checker Knights is asking for a time of 4 minutes 15 seconds on our old pal Rex Wheelie. At the end of the first lap, I was at about 1 minute and 20 seconds. Another minute and 20 seconds passed for lap 2. My third lap was a tad slower, but this pace was just good enough to get it done. The last standard time trial achievement wants me to attain a time that is less than 3 minutes on Nebula Belt with Swerve Star. Now, what I'm doing here may look kind of silly, but you may have noticed me doing this whenever I've been using Swerve Star throughout this video. You see, when you hit a wall while quick spinning in this game, you will bounce off the wall. When Swerve Star does this, it won't change the direction it's facing as it hits the wall, and the momentum you get from bouncing against the wall allows Swerve Star to travel at a much higher miles per hour compared to its natural top speed. As I do this, my speed tends to hover in the mid to high 30s, when if I had just been driving straight across the track, I'd be staying at a stagnant 30 miles per hour. I obtained the wheel ability by accident, and I wasn't immediately sure if this would ruin the run or not. At the end of lap 1, I crossed the finish line at just under a minute. If all 3 laps were at the same pace, I would just barely make it. At lap 2's end, it was apparent that getting the wheel ability definitely slowed me down, as I saved almost 10 seconds compared to lap 1. All I had to do was keep that same pace and it would be easy as pie. Now that these time trials were out of the way, it was time for the Of Knights and Kings, Masks and Penguins series of retro achievements. Each one has the exact same setup, and there's one of these for each course in the game. The idea is that I need to turn on the ability to destroy opponents' machines, change speed help to the maximum, and defeat all 3 level 6 King Dedede CPUs before the end of a 2-minute timed race. These were consistently pretty difficult, as defeating all 3 CPUs in 2 minutes is already difficult to do, especially when you can't get any other copy abilities, since I'm stuck as Meta Knight. It was hard enough just to kill one of him, and if they all ended up distancing themselves from each other during the race, it was literally impossible to beat all 3 in time. On my second attempt, I used the quick spin attack more often, as I believe it does more consistent damage than my stubby little sword swings. All 3 Dededes started to blink red, and then something happened that I hadn't yet considered. One of the Dededes killed the other for me. Thankfully, the achievements will still count if this happens. All that matters is that Meta Knight is the last one standing before 2 minutes pass, and a tag team of me and Sword Knight promptly finish off the last Dedede. Thank you, loyal Sword Knight. I even earned the alternate music track achievement for Fantasy Meadows at the same time too. In Celestial Valley, one of the Dededes fell off the bridge and died. With only 2 to focus on, things were looking good. I pursued the leading Dedede and knocked him off his bike. Now I just needed to deal with the last one in the next minute or so. The later half of this track makes it really hard to stay close, and I was starting to get nervous. Luckily, he almost fell into the pit as well. He didn't, but he lost so much momentum that it gave me a great opening to combo him to the end. Unfortunately, in Sky Sands, by the time I defeated the first two, I didn't have enough time to reach the last one. The second try fared much better though. They were bickering with each other, and I was able to deal big damage on all three multiple times. To avoid the same mistake, this time I went after the DDD that was farther ahead first, so that he wouldn't escape my sights. With a minute left, it was time to slay the third DDD.
Oh no!
In Frozen Hillside, things started off decently, but the slippery ice made it much harder to be precise in my positioning. And 30 seconds just barely wasn't enough time to finish off the third DDD. I decided to just let the race end anyways though, as I had technically won, which means I would earn the alternate music achievement for Frozen Hillside right now. The second try didn't fare much better, so I chose to reset. As I went for the second DDD, something interesting happened. The other DDD was already dead in the cave, and the other DDD wasn't even near him as it happened. So I think one of the enemies in the cave got him. Whoever did that, thank you for making my job easier, as I now had a full minute to beat the third one. With about 17 seconds left, I was finally done in Frozen Hillside.
Okay, now you die.
As for Magma Flows, I didn't even come close. There was only 20 seconds left by the time I defeated the first one. Attempt 2 was looking just as bad, until...
Ha 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 ha.
That was close.
The first attempt in Beanstalk Park was really sad. I came really close to doing it with the alternate music, but I ran out of time. In the second attempt, I beat the first DDD in 1 minute. It was going to be close, but I knew it was truly over when I got snatched by the
Ferris wheel!
third time's the charm, right?
Yo, back off, Jack. We're on the same team.
The Three Stooges started to get into a boy band argument, and I was taking full advantage of it. I mowed down Mo, and after making a full lap, Larry was living no longer.
Help! Help! My leg!
And Shemp was struck down. In Machine Passage, my own theme music was playing. This was surely a good sign. I dealt as much damage as I could, they smacked each other up with their hammers, and before I knew it, they were already DD dropping like big fat flies. It was over with 54 whole seconds left. Checker Knights I managed to complete without issue as well.
It's beautiful.
Lastly was Nebula Belt. Honestly, they dealt more damage to each other than I did. All I had to do was finish them off, earning me the last achievement of this kind.
Die! Die! Die!
Actually, I lied. There's one more that I can do on any course I please. The only difference, I only have 1 minute to do it. I chose to try this on Fantasy Meadows, as it is the shortest track by a long shot. The first one didn't take too long, then I knocked out the second, but I didn't have enough time to finish it. The second try ended the same. Third try wasn't the charm. But the fourth?
We must act swiftly and without mercy. I couldn't agree more.
I'm gonna slap him in the face! You're done. I'm coming after you!
Oh no!
Phew. I was glad to be done with those achievements. But I wasn't home free yet. Do you remember all the practicing with Winged Star that I said would be necessary for something coming later? There is an achievement for finishing a full lap of Celestial Valley without touching the ground, rails, or water for more than a total of 4 seconds. That's right, I needed to somehow get through one of the most dynamic tracks in this game without being on the track basically at all. The only way to make this work is by making sure whenever you land after taking flight, you land with the right angle that allows Wingstar to immediately go airborne again. I had become pretty good at this maneuver by now, but nothing so far has prepared me for the mines. I had determined on my own that the best cave to attempt flying through would be the bottom route, as it has the least amount of ride rails to avoid landing on. But a small claustrophobic cave is a small claustrophobic cave, you know? That said, first try was a bust. Taking the other two paths really isn't ideal, as the rails are just impossibly difficult to avoid while also still landing with the right angle to lift off again. After almost 10 different attempts, this happened. I had made it through the cave without being grounded long enough for the achievement to disappear. The run was alive until... it wasn't. I was devastated. On my next run, I made it past the cave again, and much more cleanly this time too. But I fumbled my landing angle. I messed up time and time again, but I was so close. I just needed that one good run. Oh yeah, by the way, there actually was another time trial left, but it's a unique one. I needed to finish a lap of magma flows without using Swerve Star or touching any walls in less than 1 minute and 10 seconds. I can use any machine for this, but the name and icon for the achievement led me to believe I should use Wagon Star for this. And here's how it went. The first try, I hit a wall, and I did it again, and again, and again. Once I finally got past the rocks, though, honestly, it took me longer than I remembered it taking, but it really wasn't that hard. The next achievement wants me to finish a lap of Fantasy Meadows without ever dropping below 35 miles per hour. Keep in mind the Swerve Star wall bumping strategy is only sometimes that fast, and I need to do a full lap at this speed. Oh toodles! Super cheers! with the help of some friends who totally aren't just a single controller mapped to all 4 player slots, we can set the speed help to strong, and have all 4 Kirbys ride Rocket Star. There is a glitch in this game where for some reason Rocket Star specifically gains a near limitless amount of speed from drafting and speed help combined with each other, leading to the madness that you were about to witness. I don't even know where I could begin to explain all of that, but it happened and I got the achievement. There were now only 3 achievements left to obtain. I quickly grabbed the alternate music achievement for Nebula Belt as I just hadn't earned it yet. And it was time for my final, real challenge.
The last one.
This is the end. Kirby, come meet your doom. All I had to do now was win a simple race against Meta Knight. It was genuinely a cakewalk. And with that, I'd like to take a second to thank all of you who have watched this far into the video, as it means a lot. And also to give shoutouts to my good friend over here. You might have noticed him in this video. This is Kirby. He's a pretty jolly fellow, I think. At long last, every last Air Ride Retro Achievement had been earned. Now, we can roll the credits. Please like the video, if you like the video of course, and subscribe for more content I plan on finishing very, very soon. And you can bet your bulk star I'ma be doing a playthrough of Air Riders when it releases. Hopefully I will see you all then. Adventure on! Oh, yeah, that was only a third of the game. Right.